Couple things real quick before we get into this Ridgid Gen 5X brushless impact review video. The first thing being that we are currently taking votes from you guys in the comment section on what the first mod for 2019 is going to be on my 2001 24 Valve Cummins. The three options that I put out there for you guys to select from are a cold air intake, a headlight build, or a quad adrenaline 4K to replace the edge comp box on the truck and see how the truck can benefit from a quad compared to an edge comp box. The second thing, thank you so much for how well the video of my wife driving the 24 Valve Cummins for the very first time was received. You guys all seem to love that video. More so probably loved her response and what she said, as in get rid of the Camry and buy a second truck for the channel. That really shocked and surprised me, but you guys seem to love that video, so thank you so much for all the support and the likes, all that stuff. I do have another video that I am planning that includes her, so keep your eyes peeled for that coming up very soon. If you are not subscribed to the channel, now would be a good time to hit that subscribe button, become a family member, and don't forget to turn on your post notifications. Click that little bell next to the subscribe button so you never miss a new video and you know as soon as I upload. And while we're on that topic, guys, we are so close to 2,000 subscribers, 2,000 family members on the channel. I am issuing a challenge to all of you, and that challenge is to share your favorite videos that are on the channel. A video that you have taken something from, you've learned something from, a video that's made you laugh, whatever it is. Share your favorite videos on all your social media platforms. Tell all your buddies about the channel, have them come over and join in, become a family member here. Let's see if we can't hit 2,000 family members on the channel by the end of this weekend, beginning of next week. I definitely think that we can do it. I know that we are strong. I have faith in you guys. So let's see if we can reach this goal and hit 2K by the end of the weekend, beginning of next week. Go share all your favorite videos and tell your buddies to come on over. Go spam the other diesel channels. I don't care how you do it. Wait. That probably wouldn't be a good idea. Or would it? In all seriousness though, guys, do whatever you need to do. Let's see if we can hit that 2K mark. But as for now, let's get into this Ridgid Gen 5X brushless impact review video. That was a mouthful. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on Pure Panorama. I hope you guys all had a very happy new year and you are ready to kick off 2019 with a bang and make the most of this upcoming year. I hope you all have a great year and achieve everything that you want to. However, in this video, we are gonna actually go over my Ridgid impact gun, my cordless Ridgid impact gun that we picked up last spring just before summer, and I had mentioned that I was going to make a review on that tool after I spent a little bit of time with it and using it, and we just haven't made a review on the Ridgid impact yet. And a few people have commented on that video as of recently about the review and checking back for it, so I figured what better time than now than to make this review. I don't really have too much that I want to get into with the truck at the moment, so we're going to jump into this and I'm going to give you my thoughts on this impact gun by Ridgid. For anyone curious, this is the impact gun that we are talking about. This is $150 for the bare tool at Home Depot. So the reason that I chose to go with this one is because I already have other Ridgid tools, so I already have battery packs for it. It does not come with a battery, just like many of the other tools out there that you buy from DeWalt or Milwaukee, Makita. They do have stuff that comes in kits with a charger and a battery, but a lot of the stuff comes as just a bare tool without a battery, and you have to pick that stuff up separately. Another reason that I chose to go with this Ridgid impact here is due to the fact that these have a lifetime warranty. So if you buy any Ridgid tool products from Home Depot, you can get onto Ridgid's website with your receipt and punch in the product code or number, whatever it is, from the receipt and actually register these tools to have a lifetime warranty, so that if anything is to ever happen to these while using them, they break, whatever, you can send these back out to Ridgid and have them fixed, repaired, or replaced. Sometimes I think that Home Depot might even handle some of that in store, but I'm not 100% sure because I have luckily not had to use a warranty yet on these tools. Now, my camera gear, that's a different story. I've cashed in on warranties for the camera a ton of times, and I'm actually on my 6th camera. But for the tools, They are, well, just as the name states, pretty rigid, so they hold up fairly well and they get the job done. So just like your other impacts out there, your Makitas, your Milwaukees, your DeWalts, this is a 1/2-inch electric impact, and it does have the friction ring anvil here for your sockets. So it is basically set up just like the other ones. It does have the 3 LED lights up here around the front of it. And the nice thing about how Ridgid has these LEDs set up is that because there are 1, 2, 3 around the front, it basically shines the light in a way that won't cause any shadows. So it gives you more of an even placement of light in the area that you're trying to work. So like the other ones, Milwaukee and Makita, they typically have the LED lights kind of down underneath here, which can cause shadows up on the top and make it a little bit harder for you to see when you're using the tool. Ridgid's setup and design, I think, is actually quite nice because it doesn't cast shadows as much as the other brands. And it's actually the kind of the same way on the smaller impact that we have right over here. So if we look at the front of this little impact here that I use for work, it's set up in the same way. It does have the 3 LEDs right around the face of it to help prevent causing shadows when you're trying to use the tool in darker areas. And that's set up a little bit differently than the drill. Obviously with the chuck of the drill, you can't put the LEDs up on the front like that. I mean, they probably could have if they would have done the design a little bit differently, but since you have to be able to rotate these for different speeds and different settings on the drill, it's just not really logical. So what they did on like the drill was put the LED down here on top of the battery, and it projects it upward. So it can cause a little bit of shadowing, but not that much. It actually still gives you pretty good light output. But this 1/2-inch impact is the topic of today's video. I kind of just wanted to give you a comparison of how the lights were set up compared to a couple of their other tools. Now this bad boy is the Generation 5 version of the tool, and it is a brushless, of course, so it has brushless motors in it, which will be a little bit stronger. They'll hold out a little longer, give you some longer run time, and hopefully you'll be able to keep this tool around a little longer as opposed to having brushed motors inside of it. So it is good brushless technology. This is the latest and greatest put out by Ridgid. I'm hoping that they actually come out with another new model here very soon because this one's been out for a little while now. So we'll have to wait and see, but if they do, I definitely plan on picking that up because this thing has been great. So I would imagine that the new one will be even nicer. You can run any 18-volt battery on here by Ridgid. This happens to be a 4 amp hour battery, but I do have 2 amp hour ones too that I'll throw on there every once in a while. And to my surprise, it doesn't really burn through the batteries all that quick. I find my drill and the other impact burning through the batteries a heck of a lot faster if I'm screwing stuff into wood or like building walls or something, whereas you're only breaking nuts and bolts and stuff free with this thing. But it'll go through quite a bit of nuts and bolts and lug nuts and things like that for quite a bit before the battery actually starts to really wear down and die before you have to recharge it. Let's talk about this little switch up here on the top. So you can see that we have an A, a 1, a 2, and a 3. 1, you're gonna have a little bit lower power. That is your lowest power setting. So on and so forth as you go up through 2 and 3. 3 being your highest torque output for breaking things loose and tightening stuff down. So typically, say like when I'm putting lug nuts back on my truck, I'll throw it on to number 1 and wrench them down with that, and then I'll check them by hand to make sure that they're good so that they're not over torqued. But things for like say the axle nut for the truck, when I was doing the wheel hubs and the ball joints, believe it or not, this Ridgid impact had the balls to bust that axle nut free off the truck, and it did it quite easily. The first one took a little bit of time to kind of work it and start to get it loose, but it really didn't take all that long, and it popped that sucker free. And those axle nuts are on there very, very well. I am just here to tell you guys that this little $150 Ridgid impact gun is the tits, man. This is an 1.11/16 socket to break that axle nut free. I was on it with that big long cheater pipe on the ground that you see with a 3/4 inch breaker bar, but that wasn't doing the job. It ended up being the PB blaster and combination of this little 1/2 inch impact gun with a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch adapter on this 1.11/16 socket that actually broke that axle nut free. When those are supposed to be torqued to 175 or 80 foot-pounds. This one was definitely on there a little bit more, but this thing got the job done. I gotta say, for this little impact gun, 150 bucks, 2 thumbs up, man. 5-star rating. I love this little guy. And you can't beat the lifetime warranty that you get with the Ridgid tools. This thing, I'll tell you what, it did not have any trouble popping it free. You just had to be a little bit patient, just let it do its thing, and it took it right off there. But by this point, you're probably wondering what this A here is for, and that's actually an auto mode. Milwaukee, Makita, DeWalt, none of those guys offer this mode, and what that mode is basically for is to use this impact to say, put your lug nuts back on your truck, and it's basically going to run them on until it feels that it starts to stop, and then the impact shuts off. So it's basically a finger tight mode. So say that you typically start your lug nuts and put them back on your truck, and you just run them on with your fingers quick in a socket and get them finger tight, and then you go back through and tighten them all down and torque them with whatever, a torque wrench, a big breaker bar, whatever you use to tighten down your lug nut. The impact will actually do that at a much faster rate because you can put it into that auto mode, run your lug nuts down, and as soon as it feels that lug nut start to bottom out and stop, then the impact shuts right off. So then you can go back through and actually torque things down to spec. That was another key feature for this Ridgid impact that really drew me to it. Not just the fact that I already had other Ridgid tools and batteries and the lifetime warranty. Those were all good perks, and I liked the lifetime warranty, like I said. But that auto mode I thought was freaking cool. You guys have all seen me use this Ridgid impact in videos, taking my wheels off the truck, using it on other things, busting the axle nuts free from the truck when we did the ball joints and all the wheel hubs and all that fun stuff up front that nobody looks forward to doing, and you got to see it break that axle nut free. You saw me in the first video when we did the driver's side ball joint and wheel hub, standing on a 5-foot breaker bar trying to break that axle nut free. I think I was jumping up and down on a 5-foot breaker bar trying to break that sucker free, and it just wasn't budging. And then I propped a piece of 2x4 in the wheel hub where the studs are for your wheel so that it wouldn't spin. I put that Ridgid impact on with my socket and just let it do its work, and it popped that sucker free after I had spent some time jumping on that 5-foot breaker bar. So this thing definitely has good torque output to break stuff free, and to be exact on that torque output, it's 450 foot-pounds, and I believe that that's the breakaway torque number. So when you're putting stuff back on and torquing it down, it's gonna be a little bit less. I don't think it's gonna quite go up that high, but it can break things away that are up to 450 foot-pounds. For what this thing does and the price point compared to the Milwaukees and the Makitas, which can run a few $100s or more, 150 bucks, that's a steal in my mind if you already have Ridgid tools. Even if you don't have Ridgid tools and you have to buy a battery for this thing, say for 80 or 90 bucks, you're looking like $250 or less to get a pretty decent impact with a lifetime warranty, that auto finger tight mode. I don't see how you can go wrong. Let's go over what the specs are for each mode on the impact. So the no load speed of the impact is 0 to 2600 RPMs. The auto mode is 0 to 2100 RPM. Low mode, which is the first setting, mode number 1, is 0 to 1300 RPM. Medium, or setting number 2, is 0 to 1900 RPM. And high, which is setting number 3, is 0 to 2600 RPM. So there's the specs for all your different settings on this 1/2-inch impact by Ridgid. And the no load impacts are 0 to 3500 RPM. Again, it's 450 foot-pounds of torque, and it is a 1/2-inch anvil with a friction ring. It does have like this diamond printed or patterned rubber handle on it, the rubber grip. So even if you have oil or grease and stuff on your hands, you are gonna get a good firm grip on this thing. Another cool feature about this is to make these lights come on. Yes, you can pull the trigger and they come on when you start to use the tool. Or if we let these things shut off here for a second, there is another trigger down here on the handle so that you don't have to activate the tool by pulling this trigger here. You can actually use this trigger down here on the handle to get your lights to come on as well. So that, I think, is another freaking pretty awesome feature for this Ridgid, and it actually is like that on my other drill and impact as well. So that's just like a thing of Ridgid that they do that the other tool companies don't. You always typically have to pull the trigger activate the tool to get it to come on. Some of them might have a smaller throw on the button here to where you don't have to activate it, like right there it came on. But say you're working in a situation where you don't want a chance having the tool kick on or anything and you just want to get the light to come on, you can use this little button there on the handle and light up what you need to see. Really quick, let me show you the different speeds in auto 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to start off in auto 0 to 2100 RPM. Now setting number 1, and that speed setting is 0 to 1300 RPM. Setting number 2 with a speed setting of 0 to 1900 RPM. And then setting number 3 with a speed setting of 0 to 2600 RPM, which is the same as your no load speed. So there you can see the different power levels there, auto 1, 2, and 3. And then like I said, if we look over here on the box, you do have a no load impact of 0 to 3500 RPM, max torque of 450 foot-pounds. So that is all the features of this ridgid impact that I can show you. That's what it has to offer for $150 compared to the Milwaukees, the Makitas that run you a little more, almost double the price. I think that this is a very great price. Even if you do have to buy a battery and you don't have other ridgid tools, you do get the lifetime warranty, so that alone makes it worth it, because like I said, if anything happens, you can cash in on that warranty, get it fixed or replaced. This thing has given me zero trouble at all. It's broken free anything that I have touched it to. I've already told you one of the biggest things that it broke free, and that was the axle nuts on the front of my truck. But it is a lifesaver to have in the truck and carry with you if you do have to like break something free, if you're on the road and you break down or you need to change a flat or something. This thing is going to make your life a hell of a lot easier than pumping your truck up with the jack and using your tire iron and all that crap. You don't want to do that, especially if you live in the state with winter and snow and all that crap. Then you want to be speedy and get done with that job as fast as possible. This is your guy. I hope you guys enjoyed that a little bit, doing something a little different and seeing the features of the impact gun that I use here on the 24 valve Cummins. And I owed that to you guys because I said that I would do that a while back and just kind of completely forgot about it, not even gonna lie. So those are the features and what I like about this ridgid Gen 5X brushless impact gun. I highly recommend getting one if you are in the market for an impact. Save yourself some money, get a good quality tool that'll do everything that you need, and then get to wrenching on your vehicles, boys. I'm gonna close off here though, so do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button for me on your way out. If you are new, stopping in for the first time, hit that subscribe button, become a family member. Don't forget to check out the links to all the tools and parts that I do use on the truck here in the garage. This is, I believe, linked up in the video description as well, so go check it out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.